like it hot, but we like it raw. Get ready for Raw Nirvana. Welcome. Today we're here with Matt Monarch, author of Raw Spirit, and we're going to talk some about raw foods. And Matt, how did you first get into raw foods?
Wow. I didn't have any health challenges when I became raw. I actually read a book by a man named Dr. Norman Walker, who lived to be about 118. And I read that book, and the next day I went 100% raw.
What are some of the things that the book said that influenced you to do such a thing?
I couldn't believe what I read. There were certain things like refined sugars and processed starches, and I couldn't believe what they were doing to my body. As soon as I finished that, that was it. I couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I discovered something new. I didn't even know it existed, the possibility even.
So how did you feel after you started becoming raw compared to eating the diet that you were on before?
Wow. The detoxification was an issue to deal with. Once I got over that, amazing things happened to me.
What happens when your body detoxes? Like, can you tell us about that?
Yeah. From all the years of poor eating, our cells and tissues have accumulated all this waste. And when you actually improve your diet and you take it to the next level, your cells and tissues actually have the freedom to get rid of all that waste, and it goes internally as endogenous material through your system. And it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, what are some of the side effects of detox?
Oh. Think of acid. It's like a carbonic acid that is leaving your cells. It's very acidic to the body. People run into uncomfortable gas, mucus coming out of all sorts of areas, zits, things like that.
So you've been raw now for 7 years?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And how does your diet compare now to when you first got into it?
Right.
So when you first became raw foodist, what were you eating, and now, how is that different?
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
When I first became raw, it was no holds barred. I was not used to this empty feeling in my stomach from the raw foods. So I was eating massive amounts. I mean, I was working at MTV Networks, and I was eating like 3 or 4 avocados with 2 pounds of grapes, and people were walking by thinking I was nuts.
Yeah.
Now I just eat 2 small meals a day, do a couple vegetable juices, and that's my meal.
How did that evolve? Like, how can you eat so little now compared to when you first started?
When you start to eat better and better, your system becomes more efficient and you need less fuel to maintain. I was eating 3 avocados in a salad when I first started, and I did that for years actually.
Yeah.
And now I'm down to 1 avocado. The longer you do this, you just automatically evolve to needing less and less food.
What are some positive experiences you've had with raw foods?
Oh yes. I remember when I first became raw, I had gotten out of the sauna, and when I breathed in, the air just went straight to my lungs. It was amazing.
Matt, can you tell me some about your spiritual experiences that you've had while being a raw foodist?
Yes, this is the #1 reason why I continue to be on the raw food diet. When you actually become raw, your body becomes a more in tune, receptive machine to that spiritual energy. And this is something you actually feel. It's physical. It's not religion, which can be okay. This is something completely different. And that is definitely the #1 reason why I continue to do that.
I know personally from my experiences, when I am raw, energetically I am more sensitive. I can feel, I'm more in tune with myself emotionally, and also I can feel what's going on around me. The awareness is definitely heightened.
Yeah, it's very intense.
What are some other benefits of being a raw foodist?
Well, you become younger, you glow, you smell really good. It's awesome.
Can you please talk about some of the negative experiences you've had?
Yes. When I became raw, I felt like an alien in my own body. I didn't know what was going on. I was eating massive amounts of fruit and different things like that, and it would give me issues such as gas and bloating and things like that. And I didn't really understand what was going on at the time. I'm used to this full feeling in my stomach, and now it's all gone. People's psychological, emotional issues rise to the surface when they don't have food to medicate themselves. So it was just a vibrational journey.
What about socially adapting?
Ooh, that was the hardest thing
Yeah.
for most people. When I first became raw, it was just a decision. That was it. I'm doing it. And when that happened, I wasn't expecting like my family and friends to like handle it the way they did. It was almost like we kind of grew apart in a sense. We did come back together, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to be the same in a sense. And it was just a big thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you go out to eat? Like, do you go to restaurants now?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of raw food restaurants around now, so I do that a lot. When I go to a family dinner, I just either won't eat or bring my own food. I'm used to getting the looks and everything like that,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Matt, do you have basic steps that you can tell people about that lets them be a successful raw foodist?
Yes, of course. First off, people need to understand that you don't need to be 100% raw to be healthy. You can be healthy without taking to such an extreme. There are a lot of diets out there today. I'm sure you've heard of many of them. The zone diet, the macrobiotics diet. What else? Atkins diet. I don't like to knock any of these diets because I've seen so many people heal from degenerative diseases. I've seen people lose weight. And there's one common denominator why all these diets are successful. And that common denominator is they all leave certain foods out of their diets completely without cheating.
What kind of foods?
Well, if we understand that what we leave out of our diet completely without cheating is the way to ultimate health, we want to leave out the most damaging ones first. And I have found that the refined sugars and processed starches are the most damaging to the body.
Okay.
That's the secret. That's what all these diets do. And the reason why the 100% raw food diet is the best diet in the world is because you're leaving everything out and only keeping in the good.
Great.
Yeah.
So you've been a raw foodist for 7 years.
Yeah.
How have you seen the industry grow or the population of raw foodists grow?
Yes. It's been a steady growth. It seems like 20% every year. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And it seems like it's snowballing into that. I've seen so many people benefit from the raw diet. I've seen people heal from degenerative diseases. This is just such a true thing. It's not going to be hidden. People are going to go out there and actually learn about it more and more.
So Matt, your first book is called Raw Spirit, but I know that you're working on your second book.
Yes.
Can you give us any information on
Yes.
that?
It's actually called Raw Success. And I'm actually finished. It just needs to be edited. That's probably going to take a few months to get done. So the big question is, all the raw food pioneers, the ones, the advocates of the movement, when they die, it seems like they all seem to be dying around the same age, anywhere between 80 to 95 years old.
Okay.
If the raw diet is so great, we should be living decades longer than the cooked food eater.
Right. So what's your theory on why they're still passing at the same age?
Yeah, it's a whole entire book worth, you know what I mean? And what the book goes into is it tells you how to succeed on the raw diet in the long term. There's concepts in there that have never been said before. It's groundbreaking information. I'm very excited for it.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Woo! What you'll get from this book is how to be balanced. Some people like to take this to very extremes, mainly for spiritual benefit, because the less you eat, the more spiritually evolved you become. However, when you take it that far, eating less and less foods, eliminating concentrated foods such as nuts and seeds, you can actually hurt yourself in the long run for many reasons. You become extra sensitive. The environment can play a role in long-term demise.
In my experiences, I've witnessed some people who do not look healthy, some people on the raw food diet who don't look healthy. What are they doing, or what can you tell people to avoid to remain balanced and healthy?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that some people don't actually know what they're doing when they go on the raw diet, and they can run into problems, and it doesn't look good for the whole entire raw food movement.
Do you know of the mistakes that those people are making? And
well, yeah, when you improve your diet, the raw food diet, the 100% raw food diet, is a lot more cleansing than we think. It's almost like a lifelong fast. The reason why a fast is so cleansing is because you're eliminating all foods from your diet. The reason why the raw food diet is so cleansing is because you're eliminating everything except for raw foods. It's literally like a lifelong fast. Your insides are going to be pouring endogenous material. And a lot of these people don't really know how to deal with all this waste and get rid of it. And some want to even fast more and more. And they're just going to be internally poisoning themselves more and more. And if they're clogged up and everything's not coming out, that could be an issue. Others aren't balanced. They might be eating massive amounts of fruit all day long while not having a balanced diet of avocados, nuts and seeds, and all the vegetables and everything like that.
So they're not getting enough nutrition.
Yeah.
So how's a healthy way to go about it if I were just getting into raw foods? Like, what are some things I could do? How do I change my diet? Is it a cold turkey, or is it something that's gradual, or how does that work?
Yeah, I would try to do gradual if you can. When you jump into such an extreme, you can run into some issues. People have binge attacks, all sorts of crazy things. I recommend cleansing your system with colon hydrotherapy, and I also recommend drinking vegetable juices to get nourishment. Also, eating a variety of all the different raw foods is important, not overdoing one thing. For example, eat vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds in moderate quantities.
Okay. But the most important thing, I think you said earlier, was to remove the sugars and the starches out of your diet.
Yes.
That would be a good place to start.
It's actually not the raw foods that are healing you. It's the body that heals you. It's actually what you eliminate from your diet that heals you. So if you can eliminate refined sugars and processed starches, you're on your way to health. You can eat raw foods until you're blue in the face, and you're not going to get any better unless you eliminate the cause, which are these refined sugars and processed starches.
Can you give me some examples of the processed starches and refined sugars?
Processed starches consist of bread, pasta. Refined sugars consist of cookies, cake, candy, white sugar. And there's actually an intermediate diet you can do. They have something called tinkiata pasta, which is wheat and gluten-free. The wheat and gluten is what we want to get rid of.
Okay. What does refined sugar do to the human body?
Refined sugar will actually degenerate your brain, kind of like alcohol does. The refined sugar actually does the same thing. It actually turns into alcohol at some point. The processed starch is another whole entire mess. The starch molecule is not soluble in water, the air, or even alcohol. And what that does is it travels as a solid molecule through your entire system, and it starts to build up on organs and make a plaster wall inside your system. And we were blessed with something called the germ. And what that germ does is it propagates on this starchy wall, and it starts to break it down into a mucus, pussy substance. And what tends to happen is it gets eliminated through the skin, which makes zits and things like that. So that's just something you want to get out of your system.
Okay.
I have my own business, The Raw Food World, and it's an online store where you can get all sorts of raw foods, equipment, books, supplies.
What's your web address?
I've got a couple. Rawspirit.org
Okay.
is one of them. And then the other one is therawfoodworld.com.
Cool.
And there's lots of raw vegan books on there, over 300.
Right on.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite raw food books?
Ooh, yes. I have a few favorite authors. Of course, one is Dr. Norman Walker. he lived to be about 118. No other raw food eater lived that long, not even past 100.
Yeah.
So he was doing something right. And I studied all his information, and I put a lot of that out in Raw Success on what he did and how he succeeded.
Cool.
Additionally, I like other authors such as Arnold Ehret, the fasting master. Hilton Hotima, who is into breatharianism and other things like that. That's an excellent author to read. I'm not really into the recipe books too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty simple with my meals.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people look at this as like a philosophy.
Yeah.
You can't eat this or you can't eat that.
No, as long as I feel healthy, you
Yeah.
know, doing what I'm doing, that's the most important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
And I look forward to reading your book, Raw Success.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.